Alright, DIY enthusiasts and pallet wood aficionados, buckle up because we're about to embark on a journey that will make your garage look so good you might just start living in it. Today we're building a pallet slat wall using only wood, paint and glue, and a dangerously inflated sense of confidence. Why? Because my walls are bare, my soul is emptier, and I need somewhere to put all the offcuts of memories and regrets where I cannot trip over them. Plus, this yellow hoop has just been retired from service and deserves a good retirement home. Type in dog with yellow hoop on YouTube and you'll see what I mean. Picture this, a boring old garage breeze block wall, dull, lifeless and probably harbouring more cobwebs than a haunted house. Watch me defy logic, safety and basic interior design as I attempt to clad a wall using just pallet slats and bits of an old bed frame that most people would have thrown out. Because who doesn't love a good upcycling project? There's drama, there's questionable measuring, there's the sound of me whispering, that'll do, and did I measure this right? I'm going to build this using traditional methods, guesswork, caffeine, and ignoring instructions. On the face of it, a pallet slat wall is a simple thing to make. Sure, it's a thing of beauty, but with this pallet slat wall, there are some Easter eggs that I'll share with you as we go along. And I'll show you how to use too much of some very expensive glue in a very quick space of time so that you have to go back to the big box store and get some cheaper versions. You've got to love learning from your own mistakes. This is going to be stylish, rustic, and slightly threatening, like something designed by Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen if he had a hangover and was having a nervous breakdown. I've already broken down the pallets at the bottom of the garden. That thrilling 4-hour epic is available right here on the channel, and you're welcome. And yes, I'm still questioning my life choices. I like to use as many leftovers as possible, partly to help with the great workshop tidy up of doom, and partly because I have commitment issues with throwing things away. Dead stock paint, pretty much all gone, slathered all over the slats like it's an avant-garde kindergarten art show. I also paint the edges of the slats because I don't trust myself to make a straight cut on every single piece. This way, nobody thinks I cut the slats during a small earthquake. They can't see the original paint. Now, bed slats have their own set of quirks, 11 staples in each slat. They're all attached to each other with this weird cloth string that for some reason remind me of the ones that used to connect mittens through the sleeves of my coat as a kid. Remember those? Designed so you wouldn't lose your gloves, but somehow guaranteed you strangle yourself trying to get your arms through. Now, I'm no Michael Elm, and I've never worked with plywood before, but I've decided I'll use these plywood bed slats. I'll rip them in half, and I'll use them on the project as well. Now, my table saw has died, so I make a kind of jig so that my circular saw can take up the slack and rip the plywood into two. That will do. That will really do. Next, I use the same jig for this offcut. It's a test plank for using a router to engrave my beer crates, and like many woodworkers, I cannot bear to chuck away this offcut. Stand up and be proud, dear offcut. You will take centre stage on this pallet slat wall. I run the plywood slats through the planer. This is a sip thickness of planer. And this is the first time I actually felt like I was winning with it. I deliberately planed the plywood to be wider than the bed slats and the pallet slats, hoping that the 3D effect might look good. Genuinely, that was my thought process. If you look at how I planed these, they're all identical. Could have just planed for longer if I wanted them all the same size as the bed slats. Sorry, got a bit defensive there, but the plywood depth was not a mistake. Now, I'm giving these slats a quick sand, mostly to remove splinters, but also to assert dominance. Once we've got our wall all sanded and looking fine, it's time for the finishing touches. Now we're talking waxes and finishing oils here, not just any waxes and oils. We're going for a colour that I like to call vintage chic. It's somewhere between I found this in great grandmother's attic and does this still work. The key is to apply it unevenly for that authentic weathered look, because nothing says I'm a master craftsman like intentionally making something look old and worn. The inspiration for this came from Ross over at the Fat Hog. I watch all his videos and he's got a lovely palette backdrop, and I hate how much I love the backdrop. Envy is a terrible emotion, but I'll cope with it. Thanks Ross for the inspiration for this project. Ross is colourful, his wall is colourful, I on the other hand am tall, dark and debonair. So naturally my wall will be just like me. Alright, middle-aged, slightly bulging and a bit rough around the edges. Now the colourful slats are actually thinner than the others and they will reduce the rigidity of this project if I use them. So I gather even more pallets because apparently I've developed a mild addiction, and I start adding stain like I'm trying to cover up a crime scene. Then I plane them to 2 different widths, making sure that each size comes in a lovely variety of colours, a rainbow of wood, a timber tapas if you will. Now we've got bed slats, pallet slats, plywood inserts, and of course the Easter eggs of memory and regret. This isn't pallet chaos, oh no. This will be a carefully curated, artistically patterned wall. Think parquet floor built by a sleep-deprived schoolchild. Now give it an emotional support dog. And yes, I'm sneaking in those sentimental offcuts, little wooden relics from past projects filled with memories, sawdust and poor decisions. This wall isn't just a backdrop, it's a biography in slats. Let's talk glue. This gooey stuff is a hybrid polymer sealant and adhesive. It's made by a company called Soudal and it's used in real-time actual construction. It costs more than the GDP of a Central American nation, and I bought 2 tubes of the stuff. Why? Because I make terrible financial decisions when I'm in the adhesive aisle. It boasts that it has 400 kilograms of initial grab strength. That's per square meter. That's the equivalent of 10 baby dogs immediately. No clamping, no waiting. No wonder my bank manager looked concerned. Now brace yourself for some apprentice level application. Look at how much I'm using. And then I'm going to run a spatula over it as well. Does the label say to do that? Probably not, but we learn, and learning hurts and costs you money. Some people start with a solid plan. I like to wing it, like a pigeon on espresso. My only strategy, start with mitre corners, work from left to right and gently nudge Bailey Dog out of the way when he parks himself in the middle of the action. If you see him sitting there staring wistfully into the distance, don't be fooled. He's not dreaming of long walks, he's just eyeballing the biscuit barrel. Spoiler alert, this will soon be mounted to this wall, and expect deep doggy confusion next week when he's got no idea where it's being located. Now technically my filing cabinets that hold all my tools will hide the edge of this wall, but I'm going around the corner anyway. Why? Because I know my future self. He's a menace with an endless reshuffle urge. He will move everything again in 6 months' time and leave that corner fully exposed. So I'm doing it right the first time, which is wildly out of character for me. Mitre corners, extra wood, extra glue, and a healthy dose of regret baked in. So I start attaching the slats one by one, slowly transforming this space from a sad garage to a derelict barn look, but I make it more fashionable, perhaps. I'm going to speed up the footage here until we hit the plug sockets, because honestly, it's just rinse and repeat. Measure, cut, glue, mild panic, repeat. Measure twice, cut once is what they've always said. I've always interpreted it as measure it once, forget the number, and then sort of guess the rest with growing confidence. Now, I used a spirit level for this first level, but then I don't think I used it again until after the plug sockets. So this might not be level, but neither am I, so I'm calling that a draw. Definitely on this project got away with a whole load of woodworking crimes. Every woodworking project reaches a point where a workaround is required. For this project, it's the plug socket and cabling. At this stage, they're looking like Spaghetti Junction, if Spaghetti Junction was designed by someone who had just discovered electricity and the chaos theory on the same day. Yes, trench cuts will need to be made on the back side, the slats, all the way up to the top. So for trench cuts, I'll be using my shiny new DeWalt DCW600 18-volt cordless router. Thank you, Nathan. Genuine sorrow that you closed your business and sold all your equipment, and selfish sorrow that you didn't add the right router bit for this project, because that would have saved me breaking out the chisel. Looking forward to that game of golf at the Manor House later this month that I promised you. You bring the clubs, I'll bring the regret. Every scrap has a story. Every bit gets its chance. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Offcuts are the understudy actors of the woodworking world. They wait patiently in the wings for their big moment, and in the Pallet Slat war, they finally take centre stage and absolutely nail it. Now that pun was pure class if it wasn't for me choosing glue instead of nails. These are offcuts from the bottle openers that I made in 2023 and again in 2024. Presents for my family at the annual holiday. Who does not like a bottle opener? They're great Christmas presents as well. Make some and keep them in a box in the workshop. Your future self will thank you when Aunt Mabel turns up at Christmas unannounced and your wife asks you if you have anything you can wrap up as a quick gift. Covered in Leo's wood safe wax from Handicraft, glued on with a mixture of Fix All and the cheaper Gripper Fill Extra, which has to be agitated before application, much like me. My only regret on this project, not replacing that plug socket. White? Who uses white plug sockets anymore? I should have either swapped it out or hit it with a spray paint, and I literally have got the same silver spray the electrician used when he did the trunking last year. But fear not, I have a workaround coming later in the video that will please even the mother-in-law. And let's be honest, that's even rarer than a straight pallet slat I made by Shay. Once we pass the plug sockets, it feels like the finishing straight, and time to take a moment to reflect on our journey so far. We are turning discarded pallets, broken beds into a work of art and giving them new life. We've probably inhaled more sawdust than is ideal. We've beaten a world record for splinters and removed more staples than a dodgy accountant cooking the books. Yet here we are, still planing down wood. But that's the cost of art and the cost of creating something unique, something special, and something that will make your garage the envy of the neighbourhood and a pleasure to work with. It's now time to take it up another level, more offcuts. These are the co-stars in my production. This silvery piece in the corner, that's actually a weathered chunk from my very first ever woodworking project, the Bailey Dog Kennel. Memories and mild splinters, but it was pre-YouTube channel, so no video memory, and this will have to do. That big fella I've just put up on the left, UAHT, a heat-treated pallet slat from Ukraine, very topical for 2025. And this weird little guy that I'm leaning on, that was my first attempt at router engraving. Didn't go to plan, but hey, it's now rustic on purpose. I cut this in half earlier in the video so that both sides get to play their part in the starring role. Remember, we're not just making a wall here, we're creating a conversation piece. I'm adding bar clamps to hold the slats down into place overnight, as they are properly wonky-donkey without the counterweight. I have displeased the spirit level gods and must now take my penance. Sketchy time now, and confidence is a strange beast. Just as I get faster, I make this decision to use some slightly sketchy behaviour with a miter saw. Don't try this at home, kids, or do, but at least film it for content. To be fair, it is quicker trench cuts. That's me looking down one of the trench cuts. I thought that would look cinematic and cool. It doesn't. Also, lovely V-neck jumper. Thank you for noticing. British weather, you never know whether you're woodworking, sweating, or hypothermic. Sometimes you're all three in the same hour. Okay, let's take a look at where we're at and hit super speed mode on the editing software. Don't you wish real life was as quick as this? I could have built the entire wall, walked the dog, filed my taxes, and learned to play the banjo, all before the kettle boiled. Now, eagle eye viewers, bonus points if you can spot a couple of very special slats flying in during the time lapse. A bit of my father-in-law's mysterious garage timber, and an offcut of genuine oak skirting board from my kitchen refit 3 years ago. Spot them and win a very special prize. Massive respect from me and Bailey Dog. Alright, looking good up to this point, and then the plaster covering the RSJ means the wall isn't flush. Plaster meets the breeze block like two co-workers who definitely don't get on. What to do, not a clue. And then genius strikes. Whip out the jointer thingy, as a technical term, take a bit off the back of the slat. Lovely, like it was meant to be. Please send some push blocks to my workshop. My fingers are now applying for hazard pay. And then a beautiful moment of serendipity. But this last slat, almost exactly the same width as a glue up offcut. That's destiny for you. Bit of glue on the wall and then smack it like it owes you money until it slots into place. Friction, nature's clamp. So here we are. All the pallet slats are in place. What do we think? Hit or miss? Do you love the pallet slats? Do you spot the Easter eggs of memory and regret? Are you outraged by the white plug socket? Be honest, because I think it's haunting. Would you leave it just like this? Or would you go full Instagram home influencer and add fairy-like eucalyptus and motivational quote probably written in cursive? Have I inspired you with this glorious mess? Yes or no? Go on, leave a comment or send sympathy. Either works for me. So, the rest of the garage. Well, yeah, it looks an absolute state, doesn't it? Even with the wheelie drawers and the fridge in place, it's still chaos. You can't polish a turd, that's what they say. And even if you could, you definitely can't buff one into a pebble. I've tried. Anyway, onwards. Next up, putting back the mighty Bisley filing cabinets. These things are gold. These were gifted to me when a business shut down. They are perfect for storing tools, secrets, regrets, the usual stuff that you've got used to. 2 of them are identical. 2 of them, most definitely not. So I get creative. I chuck some oak supports above the short one, 2 bricks of, you guessed it, wooden offcuts from a glue up in the past, and a handmade drawer front to hide what we lovingly call the poor man's drawer. More memories now, because this wall isn't just timber and glue. It's basically a scrapbook in disguise. Signs and clock from our old house, back when we turned our dining room into a full-on American diner because our kids loved the Disney trip that much. Throw in some bits from the annual Devon holidays, 5 years worth of Centre Park mugs, and of course Bailey's biscuit barrel, now with its own place of honour. And the bottom, that's where the rolling tool drawers live, ready to roll out like a pit crew whenever I tackle the next chaotic masterpiece. And honestly, I'm starting to feel like a real woodworker now, not just a bloke with a mitre saw and a questionable judgment in his shirt and sweater choices. Stick the fridge on top, open a bottle of beer, and then stare thoughtfully at the empty bottle, because, let's face it, that might just become the next project. Subscribe and follow if you want to see what sort of nonsense I turn that into. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click on like. If you didn't, or you think you can tell me how to improve, please comment below. Now, I've lined up another video that I think you might like, but if you want to see more of my videos, why not subscribe? And if you change the bell notification, you'll be amongst the first to see my new stuff as it comes along. If not, hope you enjoyed. See you again. Lovely. Bye.